Stefan. Du, det är en dator som måste åka med dig till Sverige. Jag måste åka klockan 15 med planet, eller med en bil till planet. Men datorn, de använder ju den hela vägen ända till slutet av tävlingen. Och ja, han Brian, britten där som hade hand om utrustningen, som har hand om utrustningen, han vet. Men det är en dator som behöver åka med dig. Nej. Ja, precis. Så Brian kommer att... Ja, men det används ju hela vägen fram till loppet i slut. Det är det som är grejen liksom. Men
scores, Stefan?
Sorry?
What they've done before?
Yeah. And also Thomas Jacek quite well. I think he had his first silver medal back in 1998. Actually, was it in 98? I think so.
Yeah. Well, 98 was South Africa, 99 was Buell.
Yeah. Was it in 2008? I need to...
Definitely got a medal there. I think silver medal.
Where?
In tin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that as well.
What was I going to write down on here?
2000.
Let's have a look. Hang on. So, 2008 was tin.
Oh, yeah.
And, search. World Champs. Men's. K2, wasn't it? So, Oklahoma, no. Oh, it's tin.
No.
Right down. Oh, let's go medals. That's what we need to do.
Welcome back, all of you across Europe. Welcome back to the Canoe Marathon European Championships in on Lake Bohinj in Slovenia this wonderful afternoon. We will have the final discipline, K2 men. K2 men with 20 bouts on the start line, about 20 bouts on the start line, and some of them are really, really good ones, very experienced. Boat number 709, for instance, is José Ramalho and Ricardo Carvalho from Portugal. José Ramalho, who won a great race yesterday, he will start also today. But we also have Spain, Ivan. And Spain has some incredibly good crews here.
Not just good crews, but they've got two crews that are good. So very often you see them out the front on their own, helping each other out for at least the first half of the race. Towards the end of the race, sometimes you see them actually hinder each other. So you've got the probably the favourite, Buzan and Fuser. I think they're the stronger of the two Spanish crews. Then you got the two guys who we saw race yesterday, Merchan and Alonso, both out there for a couple of hours in the heat yesterday. And you saw the state Ramalho was in when he came in. He was lying in the air-conditioned ICF hut. Nobody's allowed in there, right?
Exactly.
Not even we're allowed in there, but he can get in and he can lie on the floor, and he was not well at all. He's actually racing with Cavallo, who's his best friend. And I'm not sure how serious they are about the race. I know they'll be trying hard because that's how athletes work, but I'm not sure how much of a contender they'll be.
Emilio Merchan and Ivan Alonso won last year. They are both number 717, and off they are. And it's
closest to us, boat 701. Got a full length lead already.
And that is France with Stéphane Boulanger and Jeremy Candy. We haven't seen them together before, but Stéphane Boulanger have done quite a lot in previous times. And also on the inside of them is Italy. Italy that always is among the top guys, at least at the first stages of the race.
I think Boulanger in the front of that French boat. He came second in the under-23 K1 quite a while back in Banyoles now. And he had been fourth before that, way back in 2007. So he's been around a long time, but we haven't seen him for a long time either.
He used to be there, but and they are all forming up in a big group, and I think we will see. I don't think anyone really want to do very hard work during this very hot conditions, so they will stay quite well together. Another interesting boat is actually Adam Jakub and Thomas Jacek. Thomas Jacek, who have been around a very long time, he's 42 years old. He's a team manager for the Czechish team and the team coach, but he's still very strong. He finished his top efforts on the racing courses and on the marathon courses 2 years ago, but he's doing a slight comeback here today together with Adam Jakub, and they have done a lot of racing together over the years.
Interesting that he's actually older than the entire Swedish crew.
Exactly. That's right.
Swedish guys are the youngest in here. I mean, one of them's still a junior.
Yes.
And so it's an experience event for them, I guess. They'll be on a steep learning curve here against some of these.
Actually, first year senior and second year senior. These Emil Torstensson and Nils Thoresson, youngsters.
Great Britain one to watch as well here. Daniels and Pendle, they were third in this event last year and fourth. Well, Pendle was part of a crew that came fourth the year before. He's been fifth in the past as well. They were sixth last year in Oklahoma, so they're front group potential, and even if things go well for them, anyone who's front group potential is also medal potential.
Absolutely so. And then we have the Hungarians, where we had Hungary that always does well, and this is I think the top crews of them is Adrian Boros and Laszlo Solti, who are doing their second marathon race here this afternoon. They finished fourth in the Europeans last year, but also fourth in the World Championships in Oklahoma.
And didn't Solti win this weekend already?
Exactly.
In the under-23s?
Exactly. He won the under-23. So they will absolutely be among the top guys. Hungary, that is racing in green shirts, boat number 715. The second Hungarian boat is Gere Balintgere and Martin Metsaros. They haven't been racing together, as far as I know, on the international courses before, so it will be interesting to follow them as well.
Metsaros is a good Hungarian kayaking name. The lady in the front of their, probably one of their best K4s ever was Metsaros.
Yes.
So
and also Balint is quite a common name.
Okay. So maybe they've got family history of kayaking. You see the Spanish going around on the left-hand side there. They're obviously decided to change their position, and they are going for it. In fact, everyone's come to them, which is one plan that really works well. If things aren't going well for you, do something spectacular and the whole race will form around you. Then you start picking your places after that. But two separate groups there. Left-hand group looks to me like it's the leading group of the two, but if the other one was far behind, it would have tucked in behind them, not be out to the side still. So they still fancy their chances of coming across and getting on equal terms.
And these guys are doing 8 laps, which is 30 kilometers, 8 full laps. Each lap, except the first one, has a portage where they jump out their boat, running across plus 100-meter track, and then jump in once again and continue. The first lap is without portage, and that is just because it could be very, very crowded into that first portage, and things could crash and the boats breaks and such things, and we want to avoid that.
Bit of a strange thing in shot there. Looks like a blue team, presumably the Italians, must have had a swim, early swim maybe, got back in their boat, and they are clearly very, very far behind. That's a very tough call then. I mean, you're not going to catch anyone, are you, from there, really?
Maybe. It depends a bit.
You're certainly not going to get the result at once. So it looks like the French still.
Yes.
To their right, the Great British team.
And to the left,
and to the left, the Spanish. Nice one by Tim Pendle there from Norwich Canoe Club. Andy Daniels from Longridge, who we've seen so many of their athletes. Magnus Gregory won earlier this week in the junior. They've got a great training group. They all train together. Seniors, juniors, the lot. They do all their sprint, marathon training. But there's the French, looking particularly tidy. Now the French have won this race before, not with this crew, but in the past. I know they won when the race was in France a few years back. I actually lost as to remember what the name of the crew was that did that, so I'm a little bit embarrassed about that, but we'll brush over that and pretend you never heard it. So through the heat haze at the end, there is a little bit of a breeze this afternoon, which they'll be grateful for, and there is rumour that breeze may bring in a bit of cloud cover and even a bit of rain later. But for now, there's the graphic: Boulanger, Pendle, Bouzan, Gier, Merchan, Solti, Graziani, Peters and Corin from Belgium, Faria again out there today, and then Romalo. Today we'll try and get Faria actually in the right boat. Yesterday I think I muddled him up with the French athlete throughout the entire race, for which obviously I apologise. And then back down through the order there: Polish, Czechs. But it's still a big group, everything to play for. Early days, and another test for someone. It's hard to see which boat tried to come around, but Pendle and Daniels very comfortable holding them off. They've found themselves in the lead. Not the worst place to... Oh no, the Spanish just came up as if they were going to hold someone off. Now they've let someone round. I can only suspect that's the other Spanish they've let round, otherwise there'd be no real reason for doing it. So it could be, only could, I do know it's Pendle and Daniels winning. I do know it's the Spaniards in the diamond wash behind them, and I think it's probably the Spaniards on their left also. So you got the impression after yesterday's race, Stefan, that Alonso and Merchan were beginning to feel their age a little bit.
A little bit. So.
They mentioned age a couple of times in the interview that I gave them.
Yes.
And when you start thinking that way, do you think it's a downhill slide from there when
Absolutely.
you start using age?
The day you don't develop anymore, today the thinking is not on development, just to try to keep your form, keep your shape, then it's over.
Yeah. And they're extremely gracious about the efforts of Pedersen yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, they're full of praise for him in the interview, even straight after a race where they gave him a bit of a hard time. It was good to see that.
Really good. The friendship of canoeing. Mats Pedersen, the Dane, 19-year-old Dane, that finished 4 yesterday in this wonderful K1 race. Here's the results from the first turn, and they are all there within a couple of seconds.
Pretty much it doesn't really matter where you are in that group, you're still part of it. It's a bit like the cycling peloton in that respect. They all give them the same time. We've got another crew coming back, not only the crew in blue that we saw earlier. This could easily be a Polish crew, red and white boat, white shirts. Things haven't gone well for them, but at the moment it's Pendle and Daniels paddling through the heat haze. We know the Spaniards are there, French are there somewhere. Just trying to have a quick count up of boats there. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 boats, which means there has been a bit of a split. The second group, on a visual that we can get from our tent, not do you have that view, it looks like about 10-15 seconds down to another group of about 4. So good work from the Great Britain team there. They've obviously caused that split with the speed they're going. And there may even be gaps opening up towards the back of this group now. So there you can see the gap between that leading group, the chasing pack. The chasing pack are chasing. You can see it's not easy for them back there.
We got some messages in here that the live stream is working very slowly or not at all on different places around Europe. The problem we face here is too little bandwidth for this kind of broadcasting. We are trying to cope with that, but it's not the fault of the organizations, neither to us. It's just that we are in a remote place in Slovenia where it's not enough bandwidth, actually. But everything will be on YouTube. So it's possible to watch afternoon. I know it's very frustrating when you have your athletes there and really want to watch the race, but we are doing the best we can to solve the problem.
Okay, so Pendle and Daniels leading it out, Alonso Merchan on their left. Can't distinguish which Hungarian crew it is on their right, but they're definitely Hungarian. The other Spanish crew, Fuser, Alvarez, they're in the tail in the V-Wash Diamond behind, and it looks like the second group have made contact again. And that could have been a Portuguese effort there that closed that gap. But everyone's very happy to let Pendle and Daniels lead. And they're about a minute away now from the first turn, which on every subsequent lap will mean coming in for the portage. But not this first time. It's straight round and back up to the top turn. So there's only one boat made that jump across from the back. There's still 3 back there. 10 seconds behind.
Maybe we could have the full graphics on the screen now, once again, when everyone has passed the first turn. Many people are asking. Okay.
So here they come. It's a little bit crowded in there. So Pendle, Merchan, Buzan Fernandez, Gir Mezeros, that's the Hungarian boat to the right of Pendle and Daniels. Graziani, Bonassini, there on the far left. Boulanger, I can't position him in the group because the graphics cover the group for me, but that's okay. We got the Belgians in there, Peters and Corin. The other Portuguese boat, Faria, Maciel, and then Romalo and Cavallo. So it's a big group. In a big group of K2s like this, you rely, as the front man, as the driver, you rely very heavily on your backman for information. You don't need him to be making decisions as to whether you go faster or not. You just need a gradual, steady, sensible stream of information. If I'm the driver, I need to know if anything's happening before I can see it. And that's something you teach your backman to do for you. And it's something they need to know. So here, looks like the Spanish are pushing up just a little. That's Alonso Merchan. See the Italians to their left, easily distinguishable by the flag at the front of their boat. It's looking very busy in there. I think there's an incident of some sort. Pendles and Daniels didn't come out of that well. I think they're the second back from that group now. So from the back of that front group, the second group back is Pendle and Daniels. Somebody tipped the back of their boat. You just saw them veer off to the right slightly. It all got a bit crowded when the lead changed, but they've made their way up the outside of the group. Belgians on this side, that's Corin, he already raced yesterday. Italians there. Portuguese with a white hat on. And Alonso. In fact, the second Spanish crew just going past Alonso and Merchan there. That's Buzan and Fernandez. And it's all slowed down again to a more manageable pace. It's so easy in these situations just to have a little bit of contact. No one wants it, but it happens. And a little bit of contact just disturbs the direction of your boat. And all of a sudden, things aren't looking quite so rosy for you. Meanwhile, round the bottom turn comes the whichever blue team it was.
It is.
It could be Adam and
Thomas, Adam Jakob and Thomas Jezek. So age is taking a toll on Thomas now. He was once one of the very top athletes in marathon racing for a decade or more, and now he's the team manager for the Czech team, but jumped in here to do the K2 together with.
I think he got as high as second place
Adam Jakob
in one of the World Championships.
Exactly. They were always up there, and he raced both K1 and K2. K2 together with Odvarko mostly, and then switched to K1 when Jakob came and took the K2 with Odvarko.
So you get some idea of the size of the scenery from that shot. Tiny, tiny boats, huge mountains going up, stretching up, still not at the top, and there you go. That's the size of the basin we're in. When we went up in the cable car to the ski centre, which is pretty much on the left of your picture, you can't quite see it, then you could see how the whole bowl was formed. Absolutely stunning scenery. We're getting a bit of a treat there from the cameraman. A couple of tourist paddlers out there. Not the worst place to be if you're in an open Canadian out for the day, eh?
It's absolutely marvellous here.
It's roasting hot here today. Sitting in the commentary tent, shorts and a t-shirt. Bizarrely, Stefan's chosen to wear the cow mascot outfit today for today's commentary. I'll leave you to picture that. I'm struggling to hold it together here. So still a little bit of action in that group there. But settling in, I think, as ever with all these races this weekend, any damage that's going to be done to someone is going to be done on this first portage. Still a long way from that yet, but already around now, some of those crews that are flailing around in the back looking for spaces need to start thinking about what's going to happen in about 6-7 minutes time, actually a bit more than that, 8 minutes time, when they get back to the portage. It's very tempting to just relax and sit on the wash you're on and just wait for that to take you along. But even if you're in the best place in the group, you have to have an eye on what might happen, what could happen, and of course, what is actually happening. So it looks like a couple of boats at the back on the right there, Stefan. They look like they're just a little bit detached.
They are. It's quite rough behind such a big K2 group, and when it's rough, there is always washes to hang on to. But it's also quite demanding to both to find them and to be there, especially if you haven't a great experience of of many years into the racing.
Now you've raced both. You've raced K2, K1.
Absolutely.
I've
started off as
done the
K2 paddler, but I can't say I've had any results in that. Switched to K1 and then continue that for the entire canoeing life.
I sort of switched backwards and forwards a couple of times there and did a bit of both. There are differences, obviously. But one of the biggest differences actually is if you do really well in your K1, it's almost a lonely feeling sometimes. It's just you. You can't really express it to someone else. At least with a K2, there's someone else that understands exactly how it felt, how hard it was, and that's quite comforting. Equally, on the flip side of that is during training, you've got two people to worry about, and if your partner's not pulling his weight, or even if you perceive that he's not pulling his weight, then that can become very stressful. But at the moment, here we are, back with the front group, two Spaniards, Great Britain, very tidy there from the Great British boys. Tucked in the back is Hungary, out on the left is Italy, France tucked in behind them,
Portugal is there,
and Portugal, and Who's in the red cap there, Stefanini?
I think it might be Portugal.
I'll try and get back to you with confirmation of that.
They will soon pass the timing point. It's so hot up there. There it is.
So that could be the
Faria
Danish
Maciel.
or the Danish. Black and Rion, they could be in the red.
Yeah. Faria and Maciel, the Portuguese, are within the top group anyway. Faria, that did a good race yesterday. That was slow, and he was slowing down the big pack when Ramalho made his move out on the last lap, where he really decided on the gold medal.
So that's the second group. They're trying to work their way around, working out. Hopefully
it's Sweden that make a move there on the outside, trying to catch the wash of, I think it's Italy or Czech Republic in the blue. It's Czech Republic.
Nice sized group for covering the distance.
It's perfect. A good move there from the young Swedish guys, Emil and Nils. Emil Torstensson and Nils Thoresson. Nils Thoresson's father used to race K2 in marathon racing as well. Participated in the World Championships in Nottingham '88 together with Michaela Lindblad's father, actually.
Oh, wow.
Who is here as well this weekend.
Yeah, round in the top turn. Going to cross the top of the lake there. Spain 1-2, Great Britain 3, Hungary 4, but those numbers are fairly meaningless. They're all in the same group. What we saw yesterday, the stronger paddlers tended, while the group was big, to be up the front end of the group. It's a slightly safer place to be, a couple more options. Now, Pendle and Daniels also medalled. Last year they were third. So you've actually got the first, the second and the third crews in the first three places as this race stands. Salty Boros tucked in the diamond there.
Once again the results there, of course the same, and it's 10 bouts, about 10 bouts within 5 seconds, very close.
Now their thoughts will be turning now towards the next turn and then the portage.
It's very good if the producer can put on the graphics when all of them have passed as well. It's many people out there asking for their athletes that is further down the line.
So a little bit of change of order at the back there. You can see the crew with the red hat there working really quite hard compared to the guys, Great Britain guys in the white boat with the yellow tips just to their left. See the stroke rate is much higher, but they're not making enough progress round. Tim Pendle at this stage will have his eye on them, and if they get even close to level with him, he'll just put a little spurt on and get them back to where he thinks they belong. So very relaxed for those front 3, 4 boats. The others fighting it just a little. I think the heat is going to be one of the factors in this race later on.
Absolutely so.
So it's going to be important for these guys to take on drinks when they can. And if they wait until they're thirsty, it's going to be too late. So another time check there. Confirmation that the front group is still 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got 10 boats. They pulled almost a minute out on the chasing pack. There are 2 boats between the lead pack and the following 4 that we got a shot of earlier, including the Swedish paddlers. There's 2 lone boats stuck between those groups, but now they can see just a minute away from them that turn, the first turn before the first portage. I think the Spanish will be happy to stay at the front for that. I think they will have. Pendle, Daniels, I think they'll be pretty confident that the Spanish will lead in. All they have to do is maintain their position on that wash. That simplifies their job a bit.
I think we will see the same development as yesterday. These very experienced Spanish crews will try to hold the initiative and play very, very cool over the portage, as will the British. It will be tougher further down in this big group into the first portage. Big group into the first portage in K2 means struggles, risk of struggles and crashes and accidents.
It's just sheer number of bodies in a small space. If there's 10 boats, there's 20 people on a landing stage that actually, even if you had 20 people without boats and 20 pairs of paddles, would be a crowd.
Absolutely.
So here we go, just entering into the turn. Count the boys round. It's going to be 5 boys. There's the first. Spain's still very relaxed at the front. They'll be waiting. They'll have an eye out. The back paddlers will have an eye out for somebody attempting to come round and change the order. But so far, nobody's made that move. Certainly the boat, Pendle's Daniels, won't be motivated to make it. They'll be happy to sit with the Spanish. Speed slightly increasing. The reason you slightly increase the speed is just to discourage attack. If you go too slow, everyone fancies their chances. If you go a little bit faster, they think, okay, it's fast enough, we won't attack just now. But that group, you can see, head-on shot of that group, you can see how busy it is. You can see how they maintain spaces between them. Hungarians struggling in the back with the white cap on there. They're floundering just a little bit.
The British team does very, very, very well on the right-hand side there. They will catch the right side of the pontoon, I think, as the Spanish take the left side.
Really no attacks. It's those front 4 boats look very, very comfortable. Plus the Italians, so 5 boats. Everyone else looks like they're pretty much happy to be there, but they're not going to contribute. So it looks like 5 strong boats and 5 hangers on. There's a lot of confusion at the portage. Hungarians still not out of their boat. They're floundering coming in. They're still there now. They're still there, going to empty out their boat. And it's going to be tough for them. Meanwhile, on the run, Pendle's Daniels through, Spanish through, 2 Spanish crews. So it's Pendle and Daniels got the best of that. They're going to hit the water first.
Together with Spain. And I think the first Hungarian crew is there as well.
Nose of Italy's boat there. You saw that with the flag on.
Yeah.
French, possibly. So,
and Hungary.
Great Britain, Spain, Hungary.
Italy.
Now that's worth pressing on a little bit, I think, if you're the British team. If you can press on now and create a small gap, possibly the Spanish would take it on from there. I don't think they're going to be prepared to create the gap, but if a gap was made for them, then they could use it.
Yeah,
but it looks like the others are going to close in.
I think so.
You got some good crews back there.
It used to be like that in K2 racing in these early stages. They are so good. They have strength left good enough to close any gap.
So
this will be a very, very nice race, I think. A very good race. Really unfortunate to have to leave for the plane, and they're leaving this in the very good hands of Ivan. Thank you.
You're leaving right now, Stefan?
Yeah, I need to.
Oh my word! So I'm flying solo from now on.
Yes.
You have to bear with me without the professional help of Stefan Gustafsson. Many thanks, Stefan.
Thank you
for my
Ivan.
Education on my first go at commentary. So flying solo now. You're going to have to forgive me any of my errors. You can always write in and complain. In fact, we're going to start a competition during this weekend. Stefan and I we've made some deliberate errors along the way. We hope that when you review all the footage, you'll be able to pick out the deliberate errors, and if everyone can get all 12 of them, there are 12 to find, then we will give you a special prize after the World Championships this year.
And they are all spread out in all the different events, so you need to watch them on YouTube. And there's 12 errors, and if you find them, you will get a good prize at the World Championships in Györ.
Fantastic. So we've got that to look forward to. And in the meantime, it's goodbye to Stefan. And
good luck, Ivan. And
thanks a lot.
Thanks all of you all over Europe that have been patient enough to watch us this weekend. And next time we will probably have a technological status that will be suitable for this kind of broadcasting as well. Thanks a lot, and welcome back.
So Stefan, I know, really feels like he's missing out on this race. We've had such good races today, and all weekend in fact, that it does seem a little bit harsh that he has to leave now. Men's K2, and any of the senior men's race we've got a little bit more affinity for, having both of us raced in the past. And he's got a plane to catch, important work to do when he gets home, so it's just me. In fact, the big cheese, Alan Laws, has come to collect him. He's just been told off, and that's how it rolls around here. When the big cheese comes round, we jump, don't we, Alan? And the big cheese, even the big cheese, has an even bigger cheese above him, and there's no end to the size of cheese in this place. Okay, so see you all, and good luck. So, long shot at the back of the group. Looks like it's those first 5, possibly 6 in that front group, but the first 4 really look the most comfortable. That's the 2 Spanish, the Hungarians, and Pendle and Daniels, who did a great portage, tidy in, tidy out, and managed to split up that group quite comfortably, really. There certainly wasn't any rush about it, very well organised. I know they fancy their chances of a medal. I spoke to their coach earlier, Dyson Pendle from Norwich Canoe Club, running a great programme up there. Andy Daniels trains with Tom Daniels and the group at Longridge Canoe Club. They also have a very progressive group there. And in fact, I owe a bit of an apology from this morning from the Junior K2 to the crew at Chelmsford Canoe Club for not mentioning them during the K2 Junior race, in which they had an athlete who came 4th. I had to say that. Keith Moore told me to. Okay. Not much we can see from there, so looking out across the lake surrounded by holiday makers. Got parachutes in the sky. That race is still plugging away at the back there. That's the Czech crew, Adam and Jezek. And back to the front, just the 4 boats, just 4 now, is it? So, Pendle Daniels, they'll be prepared to put in the work. To their left, Hungarians, and then the Spanish, and of course the other Spanish. So between them, these 4 should be motivated to maintain the gap on those others. They know how hard it is out there in the heat, and to catch up in the heat actually makes things even tougher. So it looks like the Spanish, Alonso, Merchan, they're going to take their turn. If Pendle and Daniels are lucky, they'll be able to drop straight into the diamond behind. Perfect job. It's almost your privilege as the previous leader. If you choose that diamond, then generally you're allowed to have it. Merchan and Alonso always have a high cruising speed. So there's the graphic at that turn, just before that change of lead. It's Pendle Daniels, Merchan Alonso, Salty Boros and Buzan Fernandez. French dropped just about 8 seconds behind with their group, which includes the Italians and the Belgians, and then it's a further 20 seconds back to the Hungarians and the Portuguese. So we've lost the ability to have philosophical debate with Stefan, now he's left. So it's down to raw commentary. I am getting a little bit of internet, so if anyone wants to send questions into my Facebook account, if there's anything they want answered, please do that. There's a small chance that I may be able to receive that message and respond to it. So looking back up the course, looks like we've got a recreational canoe there fancying its chances, but unfortunately it's been left for dead by the professionals. So 3 boats in that group. The wind's just come through the commentary box and my papers and all my information is now scattered neatly across the floor of the tent. Just having a quick tidy up while the boats are up the course, so bear with me. Trying to get myself organised. And there you can see the gap between first and second. Looks like that second group sort of getting a little bit bigger. Just the 3 boats there. So it's a bit difficult for me to tell where exactly we are. That's the front group just going around that top turn. Oh no, that's in fact the second group you're seeing there going around the top turn. The front group's about another 20-30 seconds in front of them. So the group we're looking at there is the French, the Italians, the Belgians, and then back the group we're looking at now is Denmark, Portugal and Hungary. So Peters Korin from Denmark. Korin raced earlier this weekend. Pretty good result for him. Very strong in the early stages. Perhaps the heat, perhaps just lack of experience in this sort of level of racing got to him in the end. But he's definitely started off strongly. So front group. I think is what you see there. You can see how close the second group are. Just 10-15 seconds behind. And as they come down towards the turnbuoys in front of me, it will be their second portage. So it looks like the Hungarians leading. Spanish giving the British team a hard time there. They've fallen back onto the tail of the Hungarians, which means the Great British boat has to trawl along in the back. It looks like Merchan Alonso had a plan. A plan which mainly was made to damage the Great Britain boat and their comfort within the group. So Hungarian drink bag thrown into the lake again. And the Spanish take on the lead yet again with Buzan Fernandez. Buzan Fernandez second in this event last year, second in 2011, second in Oklahoma, second in Denmark, second in Rome. The last win they had was in Singapore 2011, and they won previously in 2010. But they are always there or thereabouts. But the crew to beat: first place in the Europeans last year, first place the year before, first place, or at least Mercham first place in Poland in 2009, and wins in Denmark in 2013 and Rome 2012 at the World Championships. There is no end of quality in that front group. So here they come, just about 100 metres before the turn, and then from the turn it will be coming through to the second portage. So around they come. There shouldn't be too much of a panic into here. 4 boats easily accommodated on the landing stage. But we have seen the Spanish early today deliberately making life difficult for opponents. All obviously perfectly within the rules. It's all part of the game. No one minds it. Doesn't mean you enjoy it, obviously, if you're being pushed around, but it's how it works. So Pendle Daniels very comfortable in the diamond wash. Actually now Stefan's gone, I can call it the V-wash, which is what I would normally call it. So in the V-wash, that's the wash where you're on the tail of the leader and the side of either crew, either side of the leader. So you can see them tucked in the back there. It's the biggest wave there is, making your life as easy as possible. There go the Hungarians. They're having a little sprint for the portage. All this sprinting's got to come to something. It's energy spent. What are they going to do when they come out the other end? If they're going to do this now, then they have to make something of it. The chance of them making something of it this early in the race is slim. So what was all that fuss about? So Hungarians out, they're up and running. Buzan, Fernandez, they're out, they're up and running. Alonso Merchan and then Daniels Pendle last to get out there. A little bit balked by the Spanish, a little bit of confusion, and it's given the Hungarians 3 or 4 lengths of leeway. Whether they'll use that to get away or just to have a rest, we'll find out in a minute. But I suspect, I don't know, maybe I'm judging them on my mentality, but I would take a rest now. I'd definitely take a rest. But they're not going to. They've pulled away hard. Now the predictability of these guys is such that you do see these guys putting their boats inside the other boat because they know how fast they're going to get away. They know that everything's going to be okay. So there's a chase. That is a proper chase on there. Hungarians are going for it. Great Britain just a few lengths adrift, but I would suspect that pace will slow fairly soon. Great Britain don't need to panic. They need to find a big rolling wave behind that group and sit there until the pace slows. You don't need to climb over waves while they're going too fast. Just wait for the pace to slow and don't lose ground. Find a big rolling wave, guys. But that pace is, and there you go. Then the pace drops and that's when you can slot into the back. Is anyone taking it on? Buzan, Fernandez are the leaders. Not sure the speed is quite so high as the Hungarians. So Pendle Daniels now see a V-wash opened up there. There is one there when they get there. So it's worth the effort, guys. They're obviously not as close as they seem because they're still coming out wide. The Hungarians have gone again. The Hungarians are intent on making this a permanent break by the looks of it. A permanent break here would guarantee them a medal, but it also guarantees that they can't have a V-wash for the entire rest of the race, and they will be 2 against 1 with the Spanish. If I were the Hungarians here, I'd be tempted to make friends with the English. There's no telling when you need a friend later on in the race. But they are certainly pressing on. There's no doubt about that. They're not hanging around. You can see how much that gap's opened up before the second group. Second group came in just a few lengths behind. And Pendle Daniels really working hard there. And still they're not in contact. The lead changes again. It's the Spanish again now. And finally, Pendles-Daniels' rate has dropped. Hopefully that means that they've tucked themselves onto that leading V. Now the job is to get the breathing back under control, get the waste out of their muscles, get relaxed, regroup, maybe even have a little chat with each other, ask how everyone's doing, ask how hard that was, and as soon as they're back in the V, the whole pace stops. So it was an attack, it was a fact-finding mission for all the teams there. Pendle and Daniels will be relieved that they held their own against the 3 other boats, and everyone else knows that they're good enough to close at least once, and they all know now how fast each other leads. But it's not over for Pendle and Daniels. They've been pushed out of the V, they've had to come around the side. That will really not cheer them up any, but with the speed as it is, they'll get on the side and they will be able to relax. So at some stage, either at the top turn or maybe after the portage there, we'll have a graphic of the split times. It's a group of 4 followed by a group of 3 and then another group of 3. Everyone else is pretty much in 1s and 2s now, and they have got a long journey in a very hot lake basin. Few crews have come in already. Looking out from commentary position here. I haven't got the binoculars anymore, they belong to Stefan. So it looks like it could be a Portuguese crew. Very likely, I think, to be Romalo. He did not look well after his race yesterday. Supreme effort. He didn't mean to break away when he did. It happened by chance. It took him a little while to realise that the break was made, and when he did, he was fully committed. And when he finished that race yesterday, it took him probably 10 minutes before he was comfortable standing, and it wasn't looking good for him. He went out today with one of his best friends and promised him that they'd race still, but I'm kind of hoping that the crew I can see coming in is Romalo. You don't need to hurt yourself that much, and if you do hurt yourself that much, then you really don't need another tough day the next day. But when the graphics come up, we'll find out who's left out there and who's not. And another crew coming back there. So these ones will at least have to come past my commentary position. So looks like the Germans. So Berger and Horn from Germany, or maybe Schubert and Paufler. We'll find out when we can see their number. But every single one of these athletes that comes off, everyone you interview, everyone you speak to, is 703. The number on that boat, and which is odd because on the start list I haven't got one of those. So anyway, when they come past, hopefully I'll just check with Jim to see if he knows who the other crew was that came in. Yeah, just had confirmation that it was in fact Romalo. I was hoping it was. He hurt himself too much yesterday and he really didn't need to be doing that again today. I think for his own health and the rest of his racing year, that's probably a very wise decision on his part. So the pace, now everyone's back in that front group, the pace has dropped dramatically. No one needs to do anything just now. The gap's increased to a stage where they've got a safety cushion. Just have a little bit of regrouping. So 703, sorry, Suchet and Frick from Germany. It was all too much for them. The reason I couldn't find them on the other list was because the other list was the wrong list. So you can add that to make number 13 of the mistakes. I've given you that one for free. So if you can find the other 12 mistakes we made actually deliberately, apparently, then prizes are waiting for you after the World Championship. So Buzan Fernandez, Salty Boris, Pendle Daniels, Merchan Alonso, as it has been for some time. Second group, 3 boats, the French, the Italians and the Belgians. Boulanger, Graziani, and Corin. So 3 boats in that group there. It's either the so we've got Hungary, Portugal, and Denmark. So the Hungarians there will be Meseros and Gear. The Danes, I'm not sure, Nikolai Black maybe, and Elias Riom Kremer. But I'm really guessing the other crew on my start list is Nikolai Mork and Mads Pedersen, who was really the superstar from yesterday's. Actually, that's a bit harsh on Romalo, isn't it? Let's have Romalo down as the superstar of yesterday's race, closely followed by Mads Pedersen, who came a rather unfortunate yet heroic 4th. So, since asking you to send messages into my Facebook, I haven't been able to get hold of my Facebook, obviously. So, no joy there. If you have sent something in, I may get it at some stage. So, I've got a couple of messages. Here we go. I've got a couple of messages coming in from Great Britain people saying, where is Keith Moore's K2? Well, Keith Moore's K2, I think, is on the trailer. Only one Great British boat out there today, and that's Pendle Daniels. So I think, yep, Keith's boat's probably dried out, put in its bag, and on the trailer. While Keith suns himself, sipping pina coladas on his sun lounger, just to my right here on the beautiful sandy beach. I hope that answers your questions. So a bit of downtime here. We've got the graphic telling you exactly what's happening in terms of times. No changes there. You've got pretty much a 20-second gap to the second group. Then you've got a 40-second gap to the third group. And then after that, actually, Adam and Jacek, who were I'm presuming they swam early on. They were certainly last around the bottom turn here the first time. They're moving up through the field. They're 12th place now. I said to Stefan before he left that they're going to stay last throughout. He assured me they wouldn't. He said to me, his words to me, Jezek, it's hard as nails, he said. So, Jezek proving him right there. I find it very bizarre almost to see guys that I used to race so many years ago still out there. And it makes you feel like you want to be out there yourself. But I can rationalise that slightly, and I know that if I was out there working as hard as he is, I would be thinking completely differently. So, in shot there, a group of 3. I've got the same heat haze picture that you have, and actually I have no idea who they are. So apologies for that. I am giving it my best shot. But from the commentary position, that's the view I've got. You've got the same view now. It's the leading group. Second group, closed some distance down since that escape attempt after the portage. Working comfortably as a group. They'll keep an eye on that second group. They'll keep the distance to a distance they like it, not the second group likes it. It would take a very sustained effort from that second group to close that gap. And actually, even if they did, I think those front 4 would feel that that extra effort the second group had applied would render them pretty much void in terms of taking positions in the front group. So here we go. Alonso Merchan, Pendle Daniels, Buzan Fernandez, and the Hungarians there, nicely tucked into the V-wash. So Salty's second outing of the weekend. Try and get a few stats on you for them. Boros, 4th in K1 at the Europeans last time. Salty and Boros 4th in Oklahoma as a K2. 7th the year before in Denmark. So it seems like they're on the climb. Salty obviously not available for last year's Europeans, but you only come 4th so many times before you get hacked off with that, and the desire for 3rd or at least grows and grows. So they're approaching the turn before their 3rd portage now. So 2 portages down, 8 laps, 7 portages. Shouldn't be any stress again, but even though there was no stress last time, you saw that there was still a break made. The second group's coming through. Actually, a very good old friend of mine, Rennie Vesterborg Larsen, properly into his marathon paddling. In fact, a legend in his own mind, as well as a few other people's. He sent in a confirmation that I shouldn't be out there. He said it would be fun to be in shape and participate, but in reality, there's no champagne on the water. And here I am in my commentary tent, surrounded by the stuff. So, Rennie, you are absolutely right, mate. I'm staying in the tent, and I am sipping my champagne. Also got another question from, I'll come back to that in a minute because we're coming up to the pontoon. Absolutely, you can see yourselves, there's no rush into there. Pendle, good move, overtaking the Spanish in a very positive way. Spanish out, next Spanish, then Pendle Daniels. Hungarians faffing a bit there, grabbing hold of the boat, they'll run well. They were strong on the water anyway, and I can't see anything changing from that. Second group already into the pontoon now. 7-0-1, we got the Italians, they're first out, the Belgians, and 7-0-1, the French. They were good early on, but in come the front group. And a little bit of a concerted effort by the Spanish. Merchant having a look round, see if they've done any damage, or any damage worth capitalising on. So it's 3-4 boats, nothing exceptional is going to happen here. No real gaps, everyone's got overlap, and that will just reform. So, from Dave Francis, any idea why Merchant is sitting in the back of the K2? He says, I've only ever seen him in the front seat. Why would they switch? Obviously I don't know, Dave. I haven't spoken to them, but I do know that after yesterday's race, Merchant was not in good shape. He was, in his own words, he was feeling his age, he said, and I think maybe it's hot out there. Maybe he thought that Alonso was the stronger of the two yesterday. He obviously got the better result, and maybe they made their decision based on that. Third group coming through the portage now. There go the Danes. 7-10. That's Black and Riom Kramer. With them, the Portuguese, that's going to be Faria. Portuguese, 7-12, Faria and Maciel. With them, that's the second Hungarian boat, Mezeros and Gear. And those three have got a long journey ahead, but they've got each other for company. So, good news that a few questions are coming in. At least that means the live feed is getting out, maybe. Which makes everything seem that little bit more worthwhile.
I think the Hungarians are striking a bit there.
Got Jim Rossi coming in. He was asking my opinion on whether the Hungarians were struggling a bit. Certainly they looked stronger coming out of the previous portage, didn't they? And last in, last out, and a bit shabby getting out of the boat as well. You lose your coordination a bit when you're feeling a bit shabby. But leading this next group in is Jacob Adam and Thomas Jezek. Thomas Jezek older than the entire Swedish K2. And they capsized. We saw that earlier on. They were the blue team I talked about that were way behind. Stefan had belief in them. He believed they could catch up. And it turns out, as has been so many times this weekend, I've been wrong and Stefan was right. That's probably why he's had the job for a long time and I'm just starting out. Oh no, there he goes. He's taken a bit of a tumble. I think tripped by his own support crew there. And worse than that, the rudder has just been bashed on the fence. Now, I hope for their sake that when they get in here, they don't just peel off to the left with a bent rudder. Skidding down the landing stage for the Belgians, they need to be cautious as well. You don't need a slip. Czech guys away, and away fast. And it looks like they do have directional control over their boat. So, a small incident didn't cost them anything, other than a bit of embarrassment. And Thomas Jezek will be able to laugh that off after this race. But it looks like they made the break on their group, which may move them up from something like 12th. When we get the graphic, I reckon they could be up to around 10th place by now. Maybe even more than that. I think there's 4 in the front group, 3 in the group behind them. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, they are still 12th position. 12th position, but a very good 12th position when you consider where they came from. Blimey, putting out that I need questions brings some people out the woodwork. Simon van Longhausen, how are you doing, old man? So, Simon used to race for the Irish team years ago. Used to train with us at Elmbridge Canoe Club sometimes. Massively entertaining guy. He's asking me if racing K1 and K2 at the same championships is a good idea or not. That depends who you are. I guess I'll come back to that part of the question. Did I ever do it? No, I didn't. Partly because I didn't want to. Partly because I don't genuinely think I was ever rough or tough enough to do that, and partly because the races were slightly longer back then. So you were looking at races up to 3.5 hours back in my day, and to double up on that didn't seem practical. Is it a good idea? I don't know. Ideally in your country you have enough guys to fill all the slots with the same sort of quality, but these guys like racing. They seem to repeat, and doing the K2 the next day very often. I remember the Dutch guys, Edwin Denise and Dolph de Lund, they used to race K2 the second day, and very often their K2 result was better than their K1 results. And I don't know, these guys don't seem to have any problem with it. The idea terrifies me personally, Simon, and I'm too much of a softie to even attempt it. So thanks for the question, much appreciated, and great to hear from you. So, front group there, making their way up to the top turn. Hungarians again leading. Salty, Boros. Jim was questioning how they were feeling. You know who I was racing K2 with. And to keep him calm while I was racing K1 might have been too big a job, to be fair. So, Salty Boros are certainly not looking like they're holding back there. Those boats are moving well. Flanked by the 2 Spaniards, which is great news for Great Britain because they are tucked away tidily in that V-wash, getting as much rest, as much recovery as they can. Interestingly, there's been some sort of team politics aired on social media this week, which is very unusual from these guys. I know some of the Spanish are a little bit unhappy about situations with sponsors and federation sponsors, personal sponsors, and that all seemed to have come to a bit of a head this weekend. I'm sure that hasn't created a harmonious atmosphere in the team camp, but sometimes athletes get to a stage where they're so frustrated that vocal objection is their only option, or at least that's how they feel. They don't feel they have a say unless they say it publicly. So, Salty Boros, Merchan Alonso, Buzan Fernandez, Pendle Daniels. Second group, Boulanger, Iverson, Graziani, And then Peters and Corin.